So somebody asked me in a recent Facebook thread, what does preparing your children for marriage look like? The first step starts when they're born. That's when you start preparing your children for marriage. You begin to instill care and trust and nurture and love. The more you invest in your children, the more they will be willing to take your advice and counsel when they get older. If you spend a lot of time with your 5-year-old, he's going to listen to you more when he's 15 years old. There are some parameters that we have. One, I told my children a long time ago, a person does not have to believe exactly like us for you to court them or marry them, but they've got to be a believer. At the same time, a parent does not have to like a mate as much as their child loves a mate. Some moms and dads are not going to be happy with anyone because they have an unhealthy relationship with their kid and they don't want to let them go. You've got to remember you are raising and training your children to become adults, not to be forever children in your home. Another thing we tell our children is, can you see yourself marrying this person? Because if you can't, even initially, then you don't need to get involved with them. Once they bring a person around and they say, you know what, I can see myself getting married to this person. I'd like to start in a courtship. For my boys, I require them to ask the dad of the girl that they want to court before they ever go that far. And I would require young men that wanted to court my daughters to come and ask me. We see this in Exodus 22, 16 through 17, where a father can utterly refuse even if his daughter has been seduced by a young man. If a young man comes over to a girl's house and asks her father if he can court her, the father has to assume, well, the young man has been given allowance by his parents. And at that point, it pretty much doesn't matter what the parents of the young man end up deciding. During the courtship period, you're kind of still involved, but you back off. You don't want to smother your children. Let them grow up, man. I see a lot of parents in the Torah community, they're so rigid on their kids, and they know good and well that they had freedom and they did things, and they probably were 10 times more wild than their child is now. You gotta let your children make mistakes. They're not perfect. You aren't either. So the courtship period might involve, spending time with the family, whether the young man is spending time with the girl's family or the young girl is spending time with the young man's family. But you do things together and you get to know one another, and it's okay to give them time to what I call court and spark. I got that from Granny on the Beverly Hillbillies. So if they want to sit outside on the swing together in private, let them do it. Then comes the betrothal. And when the betrothal stage happens, like when a young man comes to me and says, hey, I want to marry your daughter, do I have your permission? And I say, you got it, buddy. I love you. You have my permission. Back the heck off. It's not your time to shine anymore, parent. It's time for them to start their own family. They're not primarily joining your family. They're starting another family. You don't get to set the rules for them. They set the rules for themselves. If you don't respect a betrothal, you're not going to respect their marriage. You don't complain when they want to spend time with each other or be with each other. Well, my child's not spending enough time with me. No, it's time for you to back off. So you don't want to give too much freedom right away, but you do want to give some. And then once the betrothal takes place, you want to give them freedom. And all of these things, when you're dealing with your teenagers during this time, this critical time in their life, be careful what you say. You don't want to cause any hurt. If you do, it could do damage to the point that it might take 5, 10, 15 years to get over, man. All those jokes about in-laws, they're there for a reason. And I'm a father-in-law. My wife's a mother-in-law. And I don't want to be those in-laws that are the crazy ones, right? And that get in everybody's business.